Welcome back to American Sports Cavalcade. We're in Pomona, California at the Winston Select Finals. I'm Steve Evans along with Dave McClellan and Bob Fry. We have talked so much about the dominating Dodgers. Let's not forget for 95, we better watch that man. Warren Johnson, he qualified #1 here at a 7:04. As Buddy Baker one time said about Dale Earnhardt, don't tug on Superman's cape.
Well, Warren Johnson in his GM Performance Parts Oldsmobile had a 7:04 to lead the 16-car field into the first round of eliminations, where he beat Chuck Harris, while Jim Yates qualified #9 with a 7:11 and beat Mark Powick in the first round. And this is worth going back and taking a look at once again. The Pontiac, the Dynamax car, was in the near lane. The Summit Racing Oldsmobile, driven by Powick in the far lane. This was one of the closest drag races you will ever witness. Less than 1,000th of a second. Less than 3 inches separated the two cars at the finish line, as a whole shot advantage by the Dynamax car, and Jim Yates won it.
Let's see if Yates can do it again. Oh, and he does. Another brilliant driving job by Jim Yates in the far lane. The Pontiac ahead of the Oldsmobile. It is Warren Johnson at 7:08 to Yates' 7:14. But Johnson shoot is out. Yates is not.
Down the racetrack, Jim Yates trying to get the car under control. The chute comes out at the last moment, but too late. Into the hay bales at the end of the racetrack. You see the nose crumple. The door comes open as Jim Yates opens it up under his own power.
Yates had the advantage off the starting line, not because he was so quick. Warren Johnson was very slow, a 4.5 to a 5.0 reaction time, 4.0 being perfect.
As they made their way down the racetrack, it was Johnson clawing his way back into contention. The margin of victory, as we told you, only 0.02 of a second at the finish line. The margin in performance was exactly 0.06 of a second going to Johnson. It was in the shutdown area that Yates' problems magnified themselves. The parachute late coming out, and that may have led Yates to avoid the sand trap. It's designed to slow a car down. As you can see, the parachute and brake combination didn't do much for Yates. Behind that stack of hay bales is a big steel pole that supports the catch net at the end of the sand trap. Let's go to Steve.
I believe we have had us a shunt, as they say in road racing down here.
Oh, it wasn't a good show, was it? We just, well, I guess we were going through the finish line, and I didn't get the parachute out till late, and it took a while to hit. And I just thought I had a lot more room than that. And by the time I tried to drive around the sand trap, and that wasn't the thing to do.
Wife Tony comes up, gives Jim a hug. Well, if this upsets her, it's a good thing she didn't marry a funny car driver. As Jim and Tony Yates commiserate with their problems, he's okay. The car is repairable, and our final four has been set. Scott Jeffrey on and Warren Johnson, with Scott holding the lane choice. The other side of the ladder, the new Winston champion Darrell Alderman against Steve Schmidt, and Darrell gets to pick his lane. We have semifinalists in 2 of our 3 pro categories. Here's the last, and this is round number 2 of Top Fuel Eliminator. The American International Airways car, driven by Connie Coletta. His competition is Blaine Johnson in the Travers Tool Company car.
No one has had more fun this year than Connie Coletta. He watched his son Scott win a Winston championship, and he won a few races on his own, including the U.S. Nationals. It is a minor miracle that Blaine Johnson is even on the starting line to race Connie Coletta, because in round number 1, it was Johnson up against Stevie Foster. Foster in the near lane, but watch the car in the far lane. Foster red lights anyway by a mile. Blaine Johnson, 4-time alcohol champion, has his first really serious top fuel engine explosion, and some shrapnel takes that tire off it. Now he knows what it's like to drive a tricycle.
Bringing the car to a safe stop. He was able to keep it upright, the damage minimal to the chassis, and they were able to thrash between rounds, not only putting in a new motor, but replacing all of the wiring and tubing necessary to run a modern-day nitro-burning engine. Johnson had run well, though. He had qualified number 2 at a great 475, had that 538, as you saw with the engine explosion in the first round.
Connie Coletta, look at that smile. He qualified number 7 at 480, ran a 503, got a little lucky over Michael Brotherton in round 1. But right now, we're going to find out exactly what Blaine Johnson and his crew are made out of. By the way, that's the only Coletta you're going to see in this show, because the newly crowned champ Scott smoked the tires in round number 1. The first big pit crash for Alan Johnson, crew chief for his brother Blaine. How well have they done it? Staging at a dead idle. That's all the nitro cars do. They just stand on the gas. There's no clutch to let out. It's all centrifugal. Looking good.
Great side-by-side race decided by just a couple of feet as Connie Coletta prevails. A 484 at 293 miles an hour. Looks like a bit of oil smoke coming out of the engine. Blaine Johnson had a 487 at 297. So Alan Johnson and crew deserve a tremendous amount of credit getting this car not only competitive, but on the verge of winning the race. As you can see in the replay, it was Connie. Their cylinder drop failed to fire, and Blaine almost caught him at the finish line. Steve?
Connie's down here just laughing. Somebody's got to hold up the Coletta name.
We're working at it.
That was a good drag race.
Yes, it was. It was real close. I looked over, and he was right there, and I maybe bet a wheel in front of him.
See you in the semis.
Thank you.
Back at the starting line, that's Shelly Anderson. She's the new national record holder. Her dad, Brad, using some racer tape, trying to take the glare of the sun out of Shelly's eyes.
We are back at the monstrous facility known as the LA County Fairplex, and that is Shelly Anderson for the first time in her Top Fuel career, the #1 qualifier. She'll be up against Mike Dunn, and if Dunn can beat Shelly and run quicker than a 471, who knows, he might take the $50,000. She set the record, but has to leave here with it. Mike Dunn, well, he qualified #8 at a 481. He ran a 518 in round 1. Eddie Hill smoked the tires. Shelly, after her 471 in qualifying, ran a 490 to beat Scott Coletta, the newly crowned champion, round 1. She got lucky on that one.
Yes, she did, as maybe a lot of racers taking that first round a little bit too cautiously. Those that prevailed seemed to be the ones that were the most aggressive.
We just saw Brad Anderson, Shelly's dad, walk away, but a lot of the credit for the performance of this car is going to new crew chief Ray Alley, the computer wizard.
Tremendous start. And Mike Dunn, by just a matter of inches, wins it, and his crew chief, Frank Bradley, has got to be thrilled. 304.87 miles an hour at a 479. And as we watch this one again in replay, Shelly Anderson matches it second for second down the racetrack. But she could not hold off that strong top-end charge. She ran 479 as well, but her speed only 296 miles an hour. The crew chief that has now put 4 racers in the 300-mile-an-hour zone, Bradley, has to be thrilled with Mike's performance.
They don't get a lot better or a lot closer than that.
Whew, I knew she was right there. That car's been running good all weekend long, and we knew we were going to have to step up for it. We had a little bit of problem first round, but luckily this La Victoria team, we were able to come back and get the win.
Xterra cars, the guy that has the distinction of defeating Don Prudhomme on the Snake's last pass as the driver down the quarter mile. Bob Vandergrift Jr. sits at the wheel of the Fruit of the Loom car. He qualified 13th with a fine 486. His opponent, the McDonald's dragster, Corey Mack, qualified 5th at a 479, then slowed to a 483 in the first round when he beat Pat Austin.
And you know, Mac, it wasn't so much that Bob Vandergrift Jr. beat Don Prudhomme in round #1. As the Snake told us earlier in the show, he really beat himself when he smoked the tires. But let me tell you what, the moment after that, as they brought Don Prudhomme up the Pomona quarter mile, was just astounding. Just wonderful. I was running along with this camera shot on a golf cart. I've never seen a standing hole like that.
A huge crowd jammed into the Fairplex, and everyone on their feet offering their thanks to Don Prudhomme for over 30 years of a spectacular career.
Good lead by Corey Mack. Corey Mack's got it in hand at a 489, which is slow for that car. It usually runs 479. Vandergrift way off pace at 5 flat. Neither had a lot of speed, 293 miles an hour.
Both the racers losing fire in cylinders as they made their way down the racetrack. Tommy Johnson Jr., the Mopar Express Lube car, is up against Kenny Bernstein. Bernstein at the wheel of the Budweiser King, coming on strong in the last half of the season. To the far end, and Steve.
In this field today, a 489 is not going to make Corey Mack smile.
No, you're right, it's not. She was laying down. I figured for sure any minute Bobby was going to come by here. And, you know, I'll tell you, this kid, Bobby, come here a second. This kid's done an unbelievable job for a rookie, did a fine job, and he knows how to handle a race car real well. But I'll tell you, the McDonald's team can't be more happy for us, and I just want to go to the final again.
They Need more speed. 293 says maybe the supercharger.
Well, the driver knew that the performance not quite what he had hoped for. Wendy Johnson, that is Tommy's sister, backing him up after his long burnout. This is a family operation with support from Mopar. Tommy Johnson Sr., his dad, looking on. TJ qualified 6th at a 480, at a 483 in the first round.
And Kenny Bernstein likes to call himself the king of speed. Well, he has the credentials after qualifying at 307 miles an hour, the fastest speed ever here at Pomona Raceway.
And just because Bernstein ran 307, don't count out Tommy Johnson Jr. Look at him as he brings his visor down and the intensity in his eyes as the sun shining almost directly into his helmet makes it tough to see the tree. They both smoked the tires.
And look at TJ fight that car being buffeted around. You think it's easy to drive one of these cars? Ha ha, try it sometime. Bernstein, doesn't matter what the tougher speed is. Both of them didn't run very quick, but what an interesting race to watch.
And what a shock to watch them both smoke the tires after we watched two cars go down right before them, and both of them ran 479. Now here we see up in smoke Bernstein. Same hidden in that smoke cloud is Tommy Johnson Jr., who is way out of shape. That's what you saw a moment ago as our onboard camera saw him fighting the wheel. Bernstein recovers, gets the traction back, and takes the win at a subpar 573.
I don't know if it's the car or the driver, but nobody beats Kenny Bernstein in a battle of tire smokers. Great.
Thank you, Steve. I don't know either. It just kept me straight that time, so when you pedaled it and got back in it easy, it kept going straight. Sometimes it's got you crooked, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's a lucky one.
You saw what happens when you get crooked. Tommy Johnson Jr. had to fight his way out of it. Bernstein stayed straight. He was able to take the win and move to the semifinals, where he'll come up against Connie Coletta, who holds the lane choice. It is Corey Mack and Mike Dunn going to battle it out in just a few moments. Mike Dunn, surprisingly, holds the choice of lanes in that match.
And over in the funny car pits, there is Bob Brandt, the man who has turned around the McDonald's funny car operation. Gained his initial fame in the 70s with Don Prudhomme, led him to 4 straight Winston funny car titles. A very quiet, very professional operation. They'll need all their skills if they're going to beat Chuck Etchels and his crew, led by John Medlin. And Etchels announced this weekend next year, Tim Richards and Kim LaHaye join Medlin. Could be a force to reckon with.